Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on this video conference. Just to let you guys know, this conversation is going to be recorded for future training and quality purposes. Would everyone like to introduce themselves?
Yeah, hi. My name is Eric, and I work in the radiology department as the lead X-ray technologist.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalia and I'm the patient access lead. I oversee scheduling and registration.
Hello, my name is Eve and I'm the quality improvement specialist.
Okay, great. And my name is Natalie Mejia and I'm the director of the radiology department. I want to point out that Eve is here as an observer only. Today, I would like to talk to you guys about a potential improvement project. It has been brought to my attention that there has been a drastic increase on patient wait times within the X-ray department. Eric, would you mind elaborating on what you've observed, please?
Yeah, not at all. Lately, I've noticed that my techs and I are getting behind on exams more and more often. We'll start each X-ray later, finish it later, and have no time to catch up until the lunch hour. As the lead, I have to either stagger lunches or have shortened ones in order for us to be able to start fresh at 1 o'clock. This needs to be changed because it makes us rush to catch back up, creating a chance for error. When it happens day after day, it makes for an unpleasant working environment.
Okay, I see. Natalia, you and your team are up front as well when this is going on. Is anything affecting patient care?
Sure. I mean, when we tell patients that the time for their x-ray is 10 o'clock, they don't really like to be kept waiting until 10:10 or 10:20. And we hear the complaints every day, but the best we can do is just apologize, say we're sorry that we got really busy, and that we'll bring them back as soon as we can. But it's too bad because it makes us look disorganized. There are patients out there with nursing injuries or worriedly awaiting diagnoses. And so they've got enough on their plates. We hate to add more to that by keeping them waiting, especially if there's something that we can do on our end to fix it.
Okay, I can tell that the increase in patient wait times is sufficiently slowing down the department, and that's a very legitimate concern. Eric, do you think you can pinpoint where these delays are occurring most often?
Yeah, sure. I've noticed that the more complicated patients are the ones that are going over their allotted times. I narrowed down the 3 types of patients that are consistently taking longer than expected. Patients in wheelchairs, children, and patients with language barriers. For example, the patients in the wheelchairs, they generally have very little or no control over their bodies. This makes it very difficult to obtain quality images when we have to figure out creative ways to get the patient close enough to our somewhat limited X-ray tube. It's floor-mounted and has limited telescoping capabilities. Then we have to figure out how to wedge a cassette under the patient's affected body part so that it won't fall and it's not creating too much pain for the patient. Then finally, we have to figure out how to get the patient's body part to stay exactly where it needs to be for each different image. This is a time-consuming process compared to having the patient just be able to get onto the imaging table and move the injured body part themselves. When we have children or infants that obviously don't listen or comprehend directions, and trying to get them to stay still in a position is really, really difficult. Many times it takes repositioning the child several different times before we actually can get an image because they keep moving before I have time to run back and snap the image. Most of the time, I actually have to get a second technologist in the room, which requires them to stop their exam and come and help hold the child in place so we can get quality images. All this adds up compared to a patient who can just follow directions. Lastly, the patients with language barriers, they prove to be very difficult too. Translators do help, but having to go through another person to communicate is pretty cumbersome. On the other hand, patients who have no translators, they often move the wrong way or too far or something of that nature when we only need to make small adjustments. Playing charades with these patients makes it really difficult, and it takes a lot more time than a patient that can simply understand what I need them to do.
Okay, so what I'm gathering here is that you keep finding yourself behind schedule, causing an increase in patient wait times. These are all very legitimate concerns, and I see where the frustrations are happening. Keeping it very simple, can you give me a reason why we are behind schedule?
Yeah, in my opinion, it's because exams are improperly scheduled. Usually this means that the time frame given for the exam is shorter than what is actually required. On a busy day where appointments are set one after another, this causes the schedule to back up.
All right, Natalia, since you are the schedule lead, can you give me your take on this? How do we get to the bottom of it, and do you have any suggestions?
Well, before she begins, I'd like to mention that times are being scheduled too short because they are not accounting for patients with limitations past a normal injured person. These limitations are manageable, but are more time consuming than a patient who can follow commands or simply jump up onto the table and put themselves into the correct position with minimal guidance.
Sure, Eric, I definitely get where you're coming from. The thing is, the exam times for the dozens of different x-ray types that we have are predetermined. The appointment length is already set in the EMR. So when a patient access rep puts a 2-view chest x-ray on the schedule, she doesn't choose the time. It's set automatically. And in my opinion, it'd be inefficient to just increase the time for every exam in order to avoid going over. This is the real problem, and I'd really like the time to talk to my team about it. Natalie, is there any chance we can reconvene in a few days? I just want to be able to brainstorm on a way to improve the situation. Eric, you said things go downhill, particularly with patients with wheelchairs, those who don't speak English, and kids, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, Natalie, what do you think? A week? Can you give me that?
I can give you a week. All right, collaborate and come back to me with an idea. A few recommendations I have for you are talk with staff about the process, because talking about the other schedulers and what is affecting them is very important. Natalia, since you are the schedule lead, watch as an observer. Put yourself in the shoes of the patient, in Eric's shoes as well, since he is the technologist. Identify the risks in your own process, and please, please be aware of the impulse to jump to a solution. I don't want you to think of a solution tomorrow because you're not understanding the full process and it takes a little bit more time. I will chat with Eve a little more in depth to figure out how this affects the bigger picture for the organization. I want to thank everyone for taking the time today. Let's reconvene a week from today. Hello, glad to see everyone back here. I have talked with Eve, and she would like to tell you what she observed during last week's meeting.
Yeah. So what I think is tackling the schedule issues here is actually going to help our office address the gap in the healthcare we have now versus the healthcare we believe our patients and our employees deserve. By smoothing these issues out, we can ensure healthcare we offer going forward is in accordance with the 6 aims: safe, effective, patient-centered, timely, efficient, and equitable. Safe because we don't plan on rushing through any of our appointments. Each patient should be cared for every time. We do not recommend the solution involve either crunching time or cutting corners. Patients cared for to feel well. The next aim, healthcare should be effective. is addressed by making these changes too. Effective because professionals in the topic at hand are performing every procedure. This ensures that patients receive the specific care they need. Doing so means avoiding overuse and underuse to give each patient exactly the procedure they need for their specific situation. Next, we'll see that closing this gap will help us keep these things patient-centered. This is one of our top priorities. After all, we are in the service industry and our clients are typically in very sensitive times of their lives and need compassionate care. We believe that resolving our scheduling issues will help provide respectful care. By paying closer attention to detail when setting up appointments, we will demonstrate to our patients that their time is valuable as well. Speaking of time, we understand that timeliness is important. Finding the root cause of our long wait times will help things run more smoothly. We recognize that waits can cause problems for patients and our team. Efficiency is going to increase with these changes too. At the moment, problems with scheduling leads to a mess in a lot of ways. People are frazzled, unhappy, and of course, in a rush. Healthcare should be efficient. That means avoiding waste, physically as well as ideas and energy. We are an open team. Our employees are always welcome to give suggestions and voice their opinions on how things are run. By tackling our scheduling issues, we can have a calm environment where things are not forgotten or overused while in a state of panic. Finally, these changes will help our office demonstrate that we are equitable. Quality of care should never vary based on personal characteristics. Of course, we never base our treatment of patients on gender, ethnicity, geographic location, or socioeconomic status. It may happen by accident that patients receive different levels of care based on their situation. For example, if they are in a wheelchair, our team may unconsciously give them more or less care than somebody more able-bodied, simply because they are in a rush. Perhaps they rush with those who are able-bodied because they know that it could potentially go by more quickly. You know, when in a time crunch. Giving our technicians enough time for every patient will help stop these situations.
Thank you, Eve. You made some very good points. Now that we have an understanding of the bigger picture and how the issue is affecting the organization, Natalia, what do you have for us?
Hi again, everyone. So kind of looked over this detail and really discussed it with both the scheduling staff and the X-ray team. Basically, the times that are in the EMR right now work perfectly fine for the majority of patients. There's no need to extend them all. However, this week, as we monitored just how behind we got in the morning and in the afternoon, we saw that sure enough, the days that were more than 20 minutes or so off schedule, it was because we had more complicated patients, like those with limited mobility. I mean, Eric told me they mostly went smoothly, they just took longer. So with that in mind, ideally there'd be something in the EMR, like a little checkbox that the patient access rep checks off when she wants to increase time for more complicated patients. But for now, we should have something cheap and simple to test this out. So the idea was a cheat sheet. And this is assuming that my scheduling team knows the patient details when they're making the appointments. So it would list a number of extenuating circumstances, such as patient in a wheelchair or with mobility issues, patients that need an interpreter or have trouble speaking English, patients who are children, or maybe patients that come in with an unclear referral and will know that we're going to need the physician to get involved. And so Eric kind of created a list of the exams for me, and most of them take about 15 minutes. So we thought we'd start out with adding an additional 5 minutes to some exams, 10 minutes to other exams, and these times would be written on that cheat sheet according to the extenuating circumstance. And then we can evaluate, see if any of them need more customization as we see the weeks go on and see how that's working. And I talk to my schedulers. They say that having that little cheat sheet to peek at when they are making the appointments would work just fine, simple, and on my team, everyone's on board.
I really, really like your idea, Natalia. Please tell me more.
Okay, well, the hypothesis is this. If imaging exams with extenuating circumstances are scheduled for a longer length of time, then the appointments that follow those are more likely to start on time. As a result, patient waiting will be reduced, the texts won't be as rushed, stress-induced mistakes will fall, and the entire workflow will be smoother.
Eric, you are the lead X-ray tech. Do you think Natalia's hypothesis could work?
Yeah, I think it sounds good and would work great to improve wait times.
Perfect. Do you have this cheat sheet ready?
Oh yeah, it's printed out, laminated, and attached to the scheduler's monitors by now.
Perfect. This plan will be put into effect right now. Please make sure to continue collecting data and continue to analyze the process for continuous process improvements. In 1 month, we will reconvene and go over the data you have collected, and in 1 month, I will look into getting a new information software system that allows you to use checkboxes when there are extenuating circumstances. Again, thank you very much, and I will see you again shortly.
Thanks, everyone.